Once upon a time, in a village called Kaba, surrounded by tall baobabs and beautiful plantations, lived a beautiful and kind young woman named Tamara. Tamara was the best dancer in the entire village. Everyone adored her because she danced very well and always treated everyone with kindness. She lived with her parents, and her father was named Alinko. Alinko was a farmer, but very poor. He loved money more than anything else and did everything to get more. He lied, cheated, and even stole. Alinko spent all his money on gambling. He went out with friends, played all night, and returned home with nothing. Sometimes, he became so angry that he would assault Tamara's mother when he had no money. Tamara's mother sold fruits at the market. She worked hard every day to ensure there was food on the table. Tamara helped her mother whenever she could. Among her friends, she always stood out and loved to dance. Everyone in the village knew Tamara for her dancing. They used to say, "Look, there goes Tamara, the best dancer in Kaba." Tamara loved to dance, and her friend Kojo always encouraged her. Kojo was a good friend who cared deeply for Tamara. Life in the village of Kaba was simple. People worked hard during the day and gathered at night to tell stories. But for Tamara, each day was a mix of joy and sadness. She loved to dance and make people happy, but she was always worried about her father's gambling addiction and the problems it brought. And so, Tamara's days passed, filled with dancing, helping her mother, and trying to avoid her father's anger. She dreamed of a better life, where she could dance freely without worries. Tamara had a very close friend named Kojo, who was always by her side at dance competitions, applauding and shouting, "Go, Tamara, you can do it." She felt happy whenever Kojo was around. One day, Alinko, Tamara's father, was with his friends and heard about a big dance competition in the neighboring village, where the winner would receive a sack of silver coins. Alinko's eyes sparkled at the news. A sack of silver coins. He knew Tamara could win because she was the best dancer. Alinko usually didn't care about Tamara's dancing, he even thought it was a waste of time. But the possibility of winning money changed his mind. He decided to take Tamara to the competition to win the prize. "Get ready, Tamara," said Alinko. "We're going to the next village for a dance competition." Tamara was surprised because her father had never cared about her dancing before, but she was also excited because she loved to dance and wanted to win. On the day of the competition, Alinko took Tamara to the neighboring village. He didn't tell her mother anything. Kojo saw them leave and decided to follow them. He wanted to ensure Tamara was safe, so he followed them silently, hiding behind bushes. When they arrived, many people recognized Tamara. "Look, it's Tamara, the best dancer," they said. Tamara felt a bit nervous but also happy. The competition began, and when Tamara's turn came, she danced with all her soul. The crowd cheered enthusiastically, "Tamara, Tamara," they shouted. Tamara smiled and performed even better. In the end, Tamara won the competition and received a sack of silver coins as a prize. Alinko grabbed the money quickly without even thanking Tamara, he just took the sack and left. Kojo, who was watching, felt sad for Tamara. He went up to her and said, "You were amazing, Tamara. Here, take some of the money I grabbed while you were dancing." Tamara smiled a little and thanked Kojo. Tamara returned home with a heavy heart. She loved to dance, but her father's greed made her sad. When she got home, she told her mother everything that happened, and her mother hugged her and said, "You did your best, Tamara. I'm very proud of you." That night, Tamara went to bed with mixed feelings. She was happy to have won, but she wished her father cared about her and not just the money. Alinko was very pleased with the money Tamara had won. He began taking her to all the dance competitions he heard about. "You will dance and win more money," he told Tamara. Although she loved to dance, her father's greed saddened her. In every competition, Tamara danced beautifully, always won, and people applauded her. But every time, Alinko took all the prize money. He didn't praise or thank her, he just took the money and spent it on gambling. Tamara's heart grew heavier and heavier. She loved to dance, but her father's actions made her feel bad. She wished he were proud of her for her talent and not just for the money he brought home. Kojo saw how sad Tamara was. "You dance so well, Tamara. Don't let your father's greed take away your joy," he said, trying to comfort her. Tamara smiled at Kojo's kind words but couldn't shake the sadness. Tamara's friends also noticed her father's behavior and began to avoid her. "She's the daughter of a gambler," they whispered. Some even teased her, "Your father only cares about money." Tamara felt lonely. She missed her friends and the happy moments they shared. Now, she often felt alone, with only Kojo to support her. Kojo stayed by her side, always trying to cheer her up and reminding her of her worth. One day, Tamara's mother noticed how sad her daughter was. "Tamara, my dear, why are you so sad?" she asked. Tamara told her mother everything, who sighed and hugged her. "You are a wonderful dancer, Tamara. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. You have a gift, and one day things will get better. Tamara tried to hold on to hope, but each competition made her feel worse. She danced, won, and saw her father take all the money. She felt trapped in her father's cycle of greed. Despite her sadness, Tamara continued to dance. She danced because it was her passion and because she loved making people happy. She held on to the hope that one day her father would see her talent and be proud of her for who she was, not just for the money she earned. And so, Tamara's days passed. She danced, her father took the money, and her friends drifted away. But deep down, Tamara kept the flame of hope alive, believing that someday things would change for the better. At the end of each year, the village of Kaba held a grand festival. It was a time of celebration, with music, dance, and plenty of food. But it was also a time when parents chose suitors for their daughters. The girls dressed in their best clothes, hoping their parents would choose kind and handsome men for them. Tamara's father, Alinko, saw this festival as another chance to get money. He decided that anyone who wanted to marry Tamara would have to bring 5 sacks of silver coins and 2 sacks of gold coins. It was a very high price. On the day of the festival, the village square was full of people. There were colorful decorations, and the air was filled with excitement. Parents and their daughters were together, waiting for the suitors to present themselves. Tamara looked beautiful in her festival dress. She danced gracefully, and the crowd applauded. "Tamara, Tamara," they shouted, enchanted by her performance. But inside, Tamara was nervous. She knew her father's demand was very high and worried that no one could meet this requirement. When it was Alinko's turn to choose a suitor for Tamara, he stood up and spoke loudly, "Whoever wants to marry my daughter Tamara must bring 5 sacks of silver coins and 2 sacks of gold coins." The crowd was surprised. It was a huge amount of money. Many young men who admired Tamara gave up. They knew they couldn't meet such a high demand. Tamara's heart sank as she watched them walk away. She looked at Kojo, hoping he could find a solution, but they both knew it was impossible. Kojo was poor and couldn't bring such a large sum. As the crowd murmured and whispered, an unexpected figure stepped forward. To everyone's surprise, Kasali, the oldest and richest man in the village, appeared. He had what Alinko demanded, 5 sacks of silver coins and 2 sacks of gold coins. The crowd was shocked. "Kasali has the money," they whispered. Tamara's heart sank. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Kasali was very old and already had many wives and children. She didn't want to marry him. She looked at Kojo, hoping he could do something, but Kojo was heartbroken. He loved Tamara and wanted to marry her, but he had no money. Tamara felt her own tears beginning to fall. She couldn't imagine a life with Kasali. She wanted to be with Kojo, the friend who always supported her. Tamara ran home crying, her heart full of sadness. "Mother," she cried as she entered the house. Her mother hugged her tightly, feeling her daughter's pain. "Why is this happening to me?" Tamara sobbed. Her mother had no answers, only comfort. Alinko, on the other hand, was very happy. He saw the sacks of silver and gold and couldn't hide his excitement. "Thank you, Kasali," said Alinko, taking the money. "I will bring my daughter to you." Kasali nodded, satisfied to have gotten what he wanted. Alinko promised to take Tamara to Kasali's house the next day. He went to the bar with his friends and began spending the money, feeling proud of himself. That night, Tamara couldn't sleep. She thought about her future with Kasali and felt her heart break. She loved Kojo, but her father's greed had taken away her chance to be happy. She wished things could be different. The next morning, Tamara knew she had no choice. Her father had made the decision, and she was to marry the oldest and richest man in the village. Tamara was filled with despair. She couldn't bear the idea of marrying Kasali, the oldest man in the village. She decided to flee the village. She quietly packed her things, hoping to leave without anyone noticing. As Tamara was about to leave home, she heard the sound of drums. The rhythmic and loud beating echoed through the house. It was a sign that the villagers were gathering for the wedding. Tamara's heart sank. She knew she had no choice but to face her destiny. Tamara sat down and wept bitterly. She felt trapped and powerless. Meanwhile, her father, Alinko, was outside, drinking and celebrating with his friends, while Tamara's mother was inside the house crying for her only daughter. Alinko entered the house, saw Tamara crying, and became furious. "Why are you still here?" he shouted. "Get up and go to Kasali's house." Alinko grabbed Tamara by the arm and dragged her out of the house. Tamara looked back to see her mother for the last time, tears streaming down her face. Her mother's eyes were full of sadness, but there was nothing she could do to help her daughter. Alinko marched Tamara to Kasali's house. The villagers watched, feeling sorry for Tamara. They knew she didn't want to marry Kasali, but they couldn't change what was happening. Tamara's heart was heavy with sadness and fear. When they arrived at Kasali's house, Alinko handed Tamara over to him. "Here is your new wife," Alinko said proudly. Kasali nodded and took Tamara's hand. He led her to his large house, full of his other wives and many children. Tamara felt out of place. She didn't belong there. The other wives looked at her with a mix of curiosity and pity. Tamara felt lonelier than ever. She missed Kojo and the simple happy moments they shared. Tamara cried all day, her heart heavy with sadness. She knew she would have to spend the night with Kasali, and the idea filled her with dread. She couldn't eat or sleep, her mind was full of worry and sadness. The other wives tried to comfort her, but Tamara felt more alone than ever. As night fell, Tamara sat in her room, tears streaming down her face. She thought of Kojo and the love they shared. She wished things were different but felt trapped by her father's actions and the village's customs. Just as Tamara was losing hope, there was a knock on the door. The sound frightened her. She wiped her tears and reluctantly went to open it, expecting to see Kasali. But, to her greatest surprise, Kojo and Kasali were at the door together. "Tamara, open the door," Kasali's voice called gently. Tamara's hands trembled as she unlocked the door and peeked outside. There was Kojo, his eyes full of a mix of hope and sadness, and beside him was Kasali, looking serious but kind. "Kojo, what are you doing here?" Tamara asked, her voice trembling with confusion and a spark of hope. Kasali sat down with Tamara and Kojo, ready to explain everything. "Tamara," he began gently, "I need you to understand something very important. Kojo is my only son." Tamara looked confused. "But you have many children," she said softly. Kasali nodded. "Yes, I have many children, but none of them are really mine. I recently discovered that I can't have children. All the other wives came to me already pregnant by older men, thinking I wouldn't notice. Only Kojo is truly my son." Tamara's eyes widened in surprise. She looked at Kojo, who nodded. "It's true, Tamara. I didn't know until recently either. Kasali is my father." Kasali continued, "When I found out that Kojo was my son, I wanted to give him the best possible life. I saw how much he loved you, Tamara. That's why I chose you, not for myself, but for him." A wave of relief and joy washed over Tamara. She looked at Kojo, tears of happiness in her eyes. "This is a blessing in disguise," she whispered. Kojo held her hands. "Tamara, I've loved you for so long. I couldn't bear the thought of losing you. Now, we can be together with my father's blessing." Tamara hugged Kojo tightly. "I promise to stay with you forever," she said, her voice full of love and determination. Kasali watched them with a smile. "You two deserve to be happy. I will do everything I can to support you." The news spread quickly through the village. People were amazed by the turn of events. They had expected Tamara to marry Kasali, but now she would be with Kojo, the man she truly loved. The villagers celebrated Tamara and Kojo's union. They danced, sang, and shared the young couple's joy. Tamara felt as if her heart was about to explode with happiness. She had faced so much sadness and hardship, but now she had a bright future alongside Kojo. When Alinko learned that Tamara was going to marry Kojo instead of Kasali, his heart sank. He realized the extent of his greed and the pain he had caused his daughter. He knew at that moment that Tamara would never forgive him. Feeling deep shame and regret, Alinko decided to leave the village. He packed a small suitcase and left, head bowed. The weight of his actions pressed heavily on his shoulders. He had lost his daughter's trust and respect and now had to face the consequences. Alinko's friends, who had enjoyed the money and palm wine with him, were the first to turn against him. "You're a foolish man, Alinko," they said. "You put money above your own daughter's happiness. Look what you've done." Alinko felt even more alone as he left the village. He had nowhere to go, no place to call home. The regret in his heart grew with every step he took. He knew he had made terrible mistakes and that he would have to live with them. Back in the village, Tamara and Kojo began their new life together. They were surrounded by the love and support of the villagers. Kasali stood by their side, proud to see his son and Tamara happy. The village celebrated their union, and Tamara's story became an example of hope and resilience. Tamara and Kojo built a life full of love and joy. They danced together, shared their dreams, and walked side by side. Tamara continued to dance, her passion unwavering, and Kojo was always there to applaud her. The villagers never forgot Tamara's story. They told it to their children and grandchildren, reminding them of the power of love and the importance of following one's heart. Tamara and Kojo's love story became a legend, a beacon of hope and strength for future generations. Tamara and Kojo lived happily ever after. They faced challenges together and supported each other through everything. Their love grew stronger each day, a true testament to an unbreakable bond. And so, the story of Tamara, the best dancer in the village of Kaba, and Kojo, the loving friend who became her husband, was remembered and cherished by all. It was a story of love, hope, and the triumph of the human spirit, shining brightly through the ages. Tamara's journey was full of trials, but her resilience and the love she shared with Kojo brought her the happiness she deserved. The village of Kaba continued to prosper, inspired by Tamara and Kojo's story and the lesson of love and perseverance they taught. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you did, like the video, comment on what you learned from the tale, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more enchanting stories like this. Thank you.